This episode of The New Hotness is brought to you by Lashuette, your alt bike headquarters in the EU. 3D printed shoes that won't break the bank, a super adjustable crank, and a little teeny tiny titanium rack. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The New Hotness, still on Instagram, so you don't have to be. This is your favorite weekly digest of all things alternative cycling. Lots to talk about again, so let's get into it. The first thing is events. The next bike show that we're going to attend is the Bespoke Show in Manchester, UK. First time going to Inland, so not quite sure what to expect, but at least we should be able to understand mostly what's going on. Adjacent to the bike show, Wizard Works and a local bike shop called Keep Pedaling are putting on a coffee outside at a park not too far from the venue. Their coffee outside is going to be on April 25th from 8 to 9 a.m. So hopefully we're going to try to attend and then find our way over to the show and shoot some stuff. If you're going to the Bespoke show, let us know in the comments below. Would love to meet up. If you're a fan of the channel, we'll give you a sticker. Next thing is 3D printed shoes. I actually got a little sneak peek of these at last year's Eurobike. It looks like they're up and running. And this is the brand Hizo Cycling. And what's unique about this is, they have this mantra, no more one size fits all, because by using their special app, they actually 3D print a shoe. And I believe the inner liner, so it perfectly matches your foot. They have a couple of products. They've got a road shoe as well as these recovery slides. But what's interesting is they also have a gravel shoe. So it looks like it has some composite parts that snap into the 3D printed part of the shoe. It comes in a couple of color options, and they actually look pretty interesting. You can see that there's a knit inner liner, and I believe this is 3D printed as well. We live in amazing times sometimes. I think they look pretty cool. These are definitely foot shaped and not just foot shaped, but your foot shaped. Probably more remarkable than the technology is the current price at €200. Here it says in the order and delivery, order now at the affordable pre-order price and receive it this spring. So it will take a couple weeks to deliver. And how it works is that you download the Hizo scan app, which is available on the App Store. And after scanning your feet, I'm not quite sure how the app works, then you'll get further instructions by email. It says it has newly developed outsole with 3D printed technology for uncompromising traction on any surface. This I'm really kind of interested about. Again, I've had the chance to test the Strong Feet athletic shoes, and that was more of a road shoe, not very flexible, very very slippery if you try to walk. This looks intriguing. Anyways, if you're interested in a truly made to order, foot shaped, as in your foot shaped shoe, then definitely check out Hizo Cycling because this is an amazing price, I think. Sticking with apparel for a little bit longer, the brand Fior Raven has a cycling line. I think they've had this for a bit, but they've got some interesting pieces this year. I'm really into this Hoja's Riders wind jacket, very casual. Looks like some of the fly fishing shirts I used to wear. And says our lightweight, quick drying fabric that can be waxed with enhanced protection against the elements. So that seems like an interesting material. Would love to get in hand to see how thick or not thick it is. Other interesting things in this collection are the Hoja field suit. That's right, your cycling onesie. Versatile field suit optimized for biking, well suited for hiking and other outdoor activities. And once again, produced without PFAS materials. I don't know that I could do the onesie personally, but that wind jacket, be totally down to try. Talking about casual cycling gear, there is this brand Pamera. I mentioned them before on the channel. I've reviewed their jerseys, totally dig them. But if you somehow missed all that, you should definitely check them out. These folks are based in Barcelona. We just did a factory visit, or I should say factories visit with them, checking out their manufacturing process. And it's pretty cool. I mean, it's all locally made here in Catalonia. And they specialize in these Aloha or Hawaiian style shirts made for cycling. On the back, a couple of the shirts have pockets in the rear. Some have front pockets. They all have wooden buttons, so it kind of classes it up. But probably the best thing about their shirts is actually the material that they use. It's super breathable, which is really important for the climate here in Spain. I've tried other brands like Club Ride, Rowdy. Those are all great shirts, but I think they work better for a drier climate. Whereas the fabric that they use for the Pamera shirts. They just breathe really well. I believe they ship to North America, hoping to do a collab with them in the nearest future. I dig their shirts and they're super cool people. Okay, we're gonna get really nerdy here. Our friend Luke over at Cinema Fabrications put out a new video talking about this tool that the folks at Mary Sales are considering making, and it's pretty interesting. What it is specifically is sort of like a dummy bottom bracket with adjustable spindle length, so you can put on some test cranks, really dial in the chain line. That's one of the big advantages of the square taper bottom bracket, and then buy the correct bottom bracket. So it's not meant to be ridden on, but it's more of like a shop tool, or if you're a hobby mechanic, instead of guessing what length spindle you need for a particular crankset to get a good chain line, this tool will let you figure it out. After you do the test mount, you measure the spindle length and then buy the appropriate length spindle bottom bracket. As of now, they're still kind of, putting out the feelers to see how much interest there is in this tool. So check out the video, and if you're interested, leave a comment. They're still, like I said, trying to gauge interest and how many people would actually, buy this tool. It's not cheap. I think Luke said that the price would be around like 90 or 100 USD. But if you're a shop or you work with square taper bottom brackets, fairly often, then it'll save you like a lot of headache. Okay, moving on. A little bit of sad news this time. Whitefish Bike Retreat, which is on the Divide Trail, which was started by our friend Cricket and then passed on to some new owners, has announced that they're officially closing. If you've been to Whitefish Bike Retreat, then you know how special of a place it is. They've got some great trails right on the property, quick access to other stuff, and the lodging and camping has been pretty cool. But it looks like the new owners just didn't quite get it together, and sadly, it's shutting down. If you've been there, then you know how special of a place Whitefish Bike Retreat was. It's sad to see it go, but we know that Cricket has moved on to bigger and brighter things. But yeah, this one's for Whitefish Bike Retreat. Staying with Instagram, Matthias over at Stridzlin Journal has teased out some new MTV cranks that they're working on. Square taper, and he writes, it's a work in progress. Ultimate CNC'd anodized square taper retro mountain bike crank. He does note there's a reason why Kukas are nicknamed Krakas. FEA is looking good, referencing some older mountain bike cranks that didn't hold up so well. These look pretty sweet. Hopefully they go into production. There's some question as to whether they'll be 1x only, or if they'll be able to do a 2x or a 3x. Not quite sure what's going on here. The spider might be replaceable, at least in this CAD drawing. It looks like it has a 4-bolt pattern here. That leaves some hope, however, if there's enough requests maybe for a 2x or 3x version, hopefully they'll offer that option just to give you a little bit more flexibility. And speaking of Stridzlin, one of the best places to buy his gear, as well as other great alt bike parts like Blue Lug, is Lashuette, the sponsor of today's video. Lashuette has been working with Blue Lug for over 5 years, and they are absolutely stacked with Blue Lug goodness, from reflectors to lights to even their latest collab with Brooks. And depending on where you live, sometimes it's cheaper to actually buy Blue Lug stuff from Lashuette than ordering it from Japan. You can get things like these super cute lights. When we were in Paris, Laura and I picked up some of these Blue Lug mini triangular reflectors. Super charming and easy to put anywhere on your bike. They're really well stocked with even some of their more esoteric parts like brass stem caps, brass spacers, any variety of pedals. If you live in the EU or abroad and want to get your hands on some Blue Lug goodies, then definitely check out the Lashuette online store. Brand Flexible, I believe that's how it's pronounced. I'm never been quite sure. These folks are based in Japan. They did a Kickstarter a couple years ago with some friction thumb shifters. They're back with another Kickstarter this time. It's called the Flip Swap. So it's a brake lever that's adjustable in all the ways. The Flip Swap is a lever for mechanical brakes. It's CNC machined. It's designed as such so it's ambidextrous. You can move it to the right, to the left. Doesn't matter. There's no kind of directionality to it. And it also looks like you can adjust the cable pull. So whether you're running, V brakes or road brakes, as long as it pulls the cable, you'll be able to use it with these levers. They don't have any pricing yet because the Kickstarter hasn't officially launched, but definitely a space to watch. Someone DM'd me this product and it looks really interesting. So in the theme of adjustable shorter cranks, this has a unique take on it. You can see in this animation, it's got two kind of bolts that let you configure the crank length. It goes from 150 all the way to 175. I'm not quite sure if these are meant to be used as a fit tool or something that you can actually ride in. It says here first batch will be available late April 2025, so coming up soon. If you go to their Instagram, you can see a couple more shots of the prototype. It looks like the adjustable part is held by 2 crank bolts. I'm curious if they designed it so that the queue remains relatively narrow and isn't, like putting a crank on another crank. If that moving part is somehow hollowed out so it bounces out in the end. Who knows? Who knows? So many questions. But again, I think, short cranks are in, and it's kind of cool to see more products like this. Going back to YouTube, our friend Adam over at Sklar Bikes released a video on what you should measure to help you figure out what size bike you should buy. They just came out with a kind of a bike fit calculator for their bike specifically. And here he goes into the key measurements. For them, what they measure is the saddle height, and that's measured from the bottom bracket to the top of the saddle. The second measurement is the saddle to bar reach. So tip of the saddle to center of the handlebar. And the third one is a interesting measurement called the cubit, which is basically your elbow to the tip of your fingers. And with all this information, they can help you ballpark one of their bikes. Going to their site, this is the Super Something All-Road Gravel Belt, which is the bike behind me here. If you scroll down, they've got some fit guide information, helping you choose a bike size depending on your saddle height. And this is their new size calculator. I'm going to put in my height. I'm going to underestimate a little bit, 5'8", and my saddle height is 6'90". And it says I could ride 54 or 52. At your dimensions, you could work with 2 sizes. Typically, riders who prefer a more stable and upright bike prefer to size up, while riders who like a more aggressive, faster handling bike prefer to size down. And this is actually bang on. Like I sized up to 54 because I do like a more upright riding experience. So at least for me in this kind of sample size of one, fit size calculator, doing good. Okay, back to YouTube. This is a super interesting video by a brand new channel called As Long As You Pedal. The premise of the video is this guy goes to the bike jumble, which is I guess is like a big bike swap meet in New York, with the idea of trying to assemble a bike and ride back home and stay under budget. So basically, he goes from booth to booth. He picks up a frame. He picks up cranks. He picks up some wheels. These guys were a little bit on the salty side, but gave him a deal. The chain, basically all the parts you need to make a rideable bike. This is sort of the finished bike that he comes away with at the bike jumble, and his grand total was actually pretty good. $255 dollars for that. I love the concept of this video, just going in and assembling a bike from what you find. I definitely think there are easier places in the world to do this. In Girona, there's no way you could assemble a bike if they had a bike swap meet here for $255. At the end of the video, he rides it home and almost makes it back, but he does get a flat. But anyways, I don't want to give away all the beans. Definitely check out this video. Building a bike at the bike jumble. This one popped up on my Instagram a couple of weeks ago by an account called _ghost_. Basically, it's a front suicide style shifter using a lever. You're right, hand shifting is still as fun and difficult to use as ever. It looks like he took a pre-existing front derailleur, a sun tour of some sort, and CNC'd some kind of lever. This looks like a plastic cap from an old down tube shifter. Looking at other parts of the bike, it looks like he created like a bag standoff. Of course, it looks like it's also got a height right in the back. I know, looking at the construction might be something I could actually do here. I've got some friends who have some tools. Maybe we can recreate this hack here in Spain. This next one is weird. This is from an account called Proto Studio, and they made like a very tiny titanium front rack. Its dimensions are 130 by 130 millimeters. The rack is only available in titanium and has 2 millimeter thick stainless steel plate as a center support. And by that, I think he means like some kind of diving board. And the weight of this very tiny rack is 280 grams. Oh, there it is in use. So very minimal, like kind of bag support. Anyways, if you're in need of a very small titanium rack, then check out Proto Studio. The last one is a interesting YouTube video as well as a signal boost, and it's for the channel Lewis Scott. He's popped up on my YouTube because he did a video and then comparing why he likes steel bikes over carbon bikes. And in this video, he nerds out with Tom Ritchie over at Sea Otter. Specifically, they go into why Tom still prefers like a very small head tube, but they also go specifically into the compromises that were made once disc brakes became a thing. You really have to brace that left leg, and that kind of takes away all the suppleness from the fork. Definitely worth a watch if you're a fan of Tom Ritchie or if you're a fan of rim brakes and steel forks. But it's cool to see Tom still bucking the trend, and it's cool to see Lewis Scott making these videos. All right, I'm looking at my OBS and it says I've filmed 40 minutes and now it's time to edit this down to something that's not 40 minutes. Thanks again for hanging out on another episode of New Hotness. If you dig this content, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Join us on Patreon, pick up some merch, and also give Lashuette, the sponsor of this video, a visit. I love making these videos because I get to share like all the weird, quirky stuff I discover with you guys. And it's awesome that Lashuette has stepped up to make, this kind of stuff financially viable so we can literally keep the lights on. There's also a new hotness playlist. So if you want to catch up on all the weird alti bike things that you might have missed in the last month or so, then definitely check out the playlist. Lots of cool gems in there. And as always, keep the supple side down.